there are numerous rights enshrined in the law and in the regulations that are afforded to residents, and you shouldn't be intimidated. The important thing is that you're not alone. The long-term care ombudsman is an independent advocate on behalf of residents. They're experts in what resident rights are, what residents are entitled to in a nursing home, and it's very important to take advantage of that. And this is a free service that's offered in every state, every county. Every nursing home has a long-term care ombudsman. There's a phone number that must be provided. If you ask for it from the facility, it must be given to you. You can also go to the consumervoice.org, and we have a map. You click on the map, it will show you who to call. We offer a litany of ways to advocate on behalf of your loved one. And you'll find once you have that information, it becomes easier to become an advocate.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy Draper. We are so happy to have you in this morning for a wonderful hot glass demonstration. You are at J Draper Glass right now, and we are a hot glass studio in the heart of Peoria, Illinois. I'm going to take a moment to introduce my staff and Miss Brandy. Yep, this is Brandy Fissler. She has been with me for 7 years now, and she's an instructor and an artist, and she is going to be assisting for the demonstration today, and we're so happy to have her on. And then I'm going to turn the camera over to Miss Olivia here in just a moment. Yep, go on over there. And so this is Miss Olivia Petta. She is an instructor here at J Draper Glass, and she's been with us for almost 3 years now. And she's the studio manager. So she helps run the equipment that you're going to see today during the presentation. And she also, and then we have Miss Brandy here as well, and she is the studio manager. So if you come in for a class or for a presentation, just like she's working with Lori with AARP, she helped coordinate this wonderful presentation for you today. So with further ado, we are going to walk around the gallery for just a moment. I'm gonna let Brandy head into the hot shop and get the irons ready, and then Miss Olivia will be here in just a moment to help narrate. And I'm going to show off just a few pieces of the work. And this is what you can expect to see when you see hand blown glass being made. This is some new work here. And I have been blowing glass for 24 years. So this takes a long time to develop the skill, the art of glass blowing, and then in order for the work to get in the gallery. Everything goes through inspection. And actually during the time of COVID, I was able to develop my color series. So we may be talking about that today. We've got Pura Vida right here, Limoncello. And then this is some scalloped gold on top of different colored vases. That's one of my Jack in the Pulpits. I'm going to flash over here. These are some hanging sun catchers. Those are nice to have outside. We've got some more beautiful work here. This is the Midnight Vault. So a lot of my work is inspired by the Italians and the Romans. So I learned how to blow glass in America at Southern Illinois University. And I didn't know that I was going to own a studio or have my own business. But 14 years afterwards, I had an opportunity to build a studio and start offering classes to the community in which I'm from. So here we are now, 14 years later, and we are entertaining masses of people. And we are so blessed to share our passion of hot molten glass with our community and folks like you with AARP. We're so grateful for your support And so if I don't tell you thank you after the demonstration, I want to give my sincere gratitude for everybody who is watching this demonstration today, because literally without your support, we could not be here with our roaring fires going. So, all right. So there's a little glance of some of the work. We're going to head over into the hot shop. That is where the molten glass lives, and we're going to give you an awesome presentation today. So Miss Olivia is right here. She's going to be narrating the process. And we also want to let you guys know the focus today. We are reminded about health and wellness. And, you know, it really is an amazing art form to be able to express yourself and get in the shop and create and even tie it in with other art that we're working on. You might see some collage in glass making as well. So it's a wonderful release, and there is some physical preparation that has to happen for it as well. I'm going to go ahead and hand this on over to Olivia. And while she's getting her camera fine-tuned, the physical side of glass making is very demanding. And so just taking good care of your body is super important. But before that, and I've learned this as I've become older, is taking care of your mind. So we have to keep creating, keep drawing, keep coloring. I love to garden and create, so I love to do things with my hands. I talk with my hands. And so, but just having that crossover of having some kind of release, some kind of art form. Glass blowing is very much a dance to me. So you'll see me moving back in the studio in a fashion that might resemble a dance. And so this is a great opportunity for me to really allow myself to forget about the task list, the day-to-day things, the bullet list, and have that headspace to be able to create and enjoy life. And I can't imagine not doing glass in my life. So hopefully this show will inspire you to get out there and have some movement in your body and maybe do something new, whether it's take a class in something you've never done or revisit an old project. But nonetheless, we are so blessed to have you in today, and we really hope that you enjoy the show. So without further ado, we'll head into the hot shop and let you watch some awesome glass blowing. Okay, Miss Olivia, thank you so much. Okay, so this is our hot shop, everybody. This is where all the fun happens and all the creative juices are flowing. Brandy has started our project over here. So she is using a blowpipe. It is a big hollow steel straw, essentially. And we use that blowpipe to gather glass onto. So all of our glass living in our big furnace over here, we call our furnace Rose the Riveter. She is holding that glass at about 2,175 degrees, hotter than flowing lava. Lava flows at 1,800. And here, Brandy is shaping that hot glass on our marver. So she has a big chunk of white glass on the end of that iron there. Our glass gets its colors from chemists using metallic oxides and specialized process to create different colors that we purchase from them. Jeremy is gonna add more glass to our piece, so she is diving into our furnace, gathered a nice fresh layer of glass, doing some shaping. So we have a different form of our colored glass set out here on our table. We have that set in a banded form. This form is called frit, and it's little granules of colored glass. Sticks onto that clear, like sprinkles stick onto ice cream, but a whole lot hotter than ice cream.
And she is going to send that over to our reheating chamber, melt that glass in. So no glass is living in this chamber right here. It's just heat. It is powered by natural gas and forced air. And that chamber holds around 2,000 degrees, maybe a little hotter because we're using the larger one today. As you can see, we do have two. It gives us the ability to make larger work. And Jeremy is really looking for all those little frit pieces to melt into that glass and have an even heat. She's doing some more shaping. This is also helping to chill the outer layer of that glass to give us some more stability. So a very exciting part of any glass blowing process. She swiftly forced some of her breath through the end of that iron and then capped the back with her thumb so that her breath had no choice but to travel to the only malleable point on that iron, which is that hot glass. So you can see how quickly that grew and inflated that glass. We call that starting a bubble. And anytime we are making a vessel piece or a hollow piece in the glass world, that is how we are starting our project. It takes a couple of years to really become confident and proficient in that move. They make it look very easy. So you can see all of that color, and it looks a little bit distorted right now because it is still so hot, well over 1,000 degrees still. So that heat is refracting the light back to us a little bit differently than it normally would. So we are taking a little bit of a pause here intentionally because we want to add more glass to our piece. If we were to do that too quickly, we could risk heating our setup up too quickly and that contaminating our clear glass that is sitting over there in our furnace. All right, heading back on over to Rosie. And you can see how vigorously Jeremy has to turn that iron to spool up that glass. Gets heavier every time we add more material. We're bringing that over to the gaffer's bench. So gaffer is German for head of the household, and we use it to describe the head artist. So you might be wondering what these pinches are. Well, I might not have mentioned we are making a blown pumpkin. And Jeremy has her own unique style of making these pumpkins. Instead of the traditional way of using a mold to create our ridges, Jeremy has developed the process of pinching her ridges. So you just saw her pinch those ridges. And now she is at the end of the iron, inflating the glass with her breath, while Brandy works to create a severance point that will come into play later on in this process. Working in tandem and as a team. Again, that goes back to how art can be a healthy aspect of anyone's life. It requires a lot of communication and teamwork, patience, and being able to be a personable and understanding with your partner, which reflects back into other aspects of your life as well. So it's always a good practice to be able to work with people and be flexible. So Brandy has started a separate part of this process. This is going to be our pumpkin stem. Bringing you back over to Jeremy here with our pumpkin body. So she is using a wooden paddle to flatten that bottom as well as a blow hose. So the blow hose is one of the newer inventions in the glass world. Gives us a little bit more independence so that we're not always having to be at the end of that iron blowing. We can blow from our bench and use other tools at the same time. Really looking for the thickness on that bubble and on the walls of that pumpkin, making sure it's even around the entire body and that the bottom is not too thin. Some fun flames going there. Beautiful. Brandy is working to shape our stem up. So again, this is the color that we're working with here. I'm gonna head on over to the chamber, show you that pumpkin. Some of those colors are starting to pop out a little bit. Brandy has created some ridges on our pumpkin stem. And I'll show you in just a moment the tool she used to do that. Beautiful. So she dropped into a small mold that we use to create optics on our glass. Jeremy has severed that pumpkin body from her iron. She is going to accept that pumpkin stem from Brandy. Quickly attaches that pumpkin stem, stretches it up like a big piece of taffy candy, and then using a graphite rod, she's swiftly able to wrap that gooey hot glass around, creating those beautiful Cinderella pumpkin curls. A little bit more teamwork there to create that perky stem. And anytime we cut or sever glass from an iron or any part of the project, there's a bit of a roughness. So Jeremy is just going in with a blowtorch to soften that up on the stem. And we're still not quite done. We have one last step. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful pumpkin, purple stem. So we are putting that pumpkin away into a kiln. Anytime we're done with glass, it has to be annealed. So it's gonna bring that pumpkin down carefully over about 24 hours. Nice job, ladies. Okay, so they're gonna move right on into our next demonstration. And we are going to be doing a vase for you. I believe we're going to be making a vase similar to this rainmaker. And this is what that pumpkin is going to end up looking like as well once it's out of that kiln. So we have some glass on our irons here. Brandy has just started a bubble in hers. Again, forcing her breath swiftly through that iron and tapping that end with her thumb, forcing that air to travel up to that hot glass. And since that's clear, I might be able to give you a little bit better idea of what that looks like in there. Beautiful. Very nice. Yeah, side view. There you go. Okay. So while they are setting up this vase, I'm going to show you what the frit colors look like. We have some mixes in here. And we have some beautiful spring glass hung up as well, hummingbird feeders that we've been working on. All right. Heading back over to the studio floor. Okay. So Jeremy started a new bubble. There was a little bit of an unwanted carbon bubble in that last one. But the good thing is our glass doesn't necessarily have a memory per se. So we are able to recycle pretty much 98% of the glass that we do not use in a project or that is left on our irons at the end of a project. All right, so quickly burst that air through there. You can see that bubble growing and pushes right up through that iron. And if you've been practicing, then your bubble will blow out nice and evenly. Do a little bit of shaping there. So this table she's using is called a marber. Typically they're made of marble, which is what marber means in Italian. However, we have a steel one. Works just as well. Okay, so they are going to get ready to do what we call a color drop. Jeremy has that clear bubble there. Brandy has prepared a bit of color on her own iron. Jeremy is able to accept that and melt that over that bubble. So I'll just bring you over to our chamber real quick. Get you a little closer view. So you might notice Jeremy is always turning that iron. Anytime we're blowing glass, we are turning the iron. We like to say if you're breathing, you're turning. That is because we are counteracting gravity as well as ensuring we are evenly working the glass and evenly heating the glass. A quick view of some of the tools that we use every day. These tools have been around for many years. Glass blowing has been around since Egyptian times, and they've been using very similar versions of the same tools we still use in the present day. So working to push that color over that clear bubble. So the reason that we started with the clear bubble and then added white is it gives us the ability to have a deeper saturation of color, as opposed to when we add frit or the granules, it gives more of a mottled effect. Okay. Adding a little bit of color. So we have all gone to school for glass blowing. We all have a college education in the arts and have taken college courses in glass. Collectively, we have about 37 years of glass blowing experience. Jeremy has been in business for 14 years. She started off blowing glass when she was working for a catering business, and her first studio was in a small meat locker. And she's been able to grow it to a 3-room studio with employees and all this beautiful equipment and beautiful glass. So a lot of hard work and dedication. Right. So we added some frit over the top of that white, working to melt that in and shape it up a little bit. We're always looking to be evenly turning, because as soon as we hit the glass to this marber, it is rapidly chilling our glass. So Jeremy is inflating that just a hair. So we're going to be using another mold for this project. We call it pineapple mold. I'm going to show you a larger version of what we're using. So inside this entire mold, we have small points in there. They are four-sided diamond points, and we use these molds to blow into, creating indents in our glass. Jeremy has that glass in the mold, closing that, inflating the glass slightly. Kicking that open, and we've created some indents on our colored glass. You're going to see later on how that will help us create these bubbles, but it will give a beautiful visual effect of trapped bubbles in our piece. And it's a fun element to the Rainmaker series because they look like little raindrops. And I always love when she uses it on that series. I think it's very fitting. So we have a smaller version of our marber over in the front of our chamber that we are able to use sometimes. Give you a closer look. You might be able to hear that tool riding across all those indents. It does. It looks like a corn cob, feels like a corn cob. So again, intentionally letting that glass cool a bit so we can add more on top of it. So that fresh gather of glass, I'm going to try and get the bubbles to show. It's very, very hot right now, so the glow is kind of blinding the bubbles right now, but that fresh gather of glass trapped air in all of those indents, which is how those bubbles come about. So Jeremy is using a wooden tool right now that we call block. Whenever we are not using them, they are soaking in water. They're made of cherry wood, and the density of that cherry wood allows it to hold and retain that moisture, which is beneficial to us because we want a bed of steam created in order to help push that glass evenly across our setup. So back with another tool here. We call this tool close as you can get to the glass without actually touching it. And it is actually folded up wet pieces of newspaper. Use this to shape and guide the bubble. So you can see Brandy at the end of that iron helping to inflate the glass while Jeremy is guiding that bubble, making sure it's evenly distributed. Very nice. Still glowing nice and hot. Right. So we have a whole array of different blocks here, all different shapes. We have some round as well. And they're going to go back in for a fresh gather of glass. Very nice. So as they add more glass, it's adding more weight to our piece, and it feels even heavier than it actually is because it is suspended from our center of gravity. So not only is art and glass blowing good for your mental health, but also you have to be very physically healthy, active, and strong to be able to make larger pieces such as we are making today. So doing a little bit more shaping on this bubble here using one of our larger blocks. And sending that over to our marver. So she is looking to create a thickness at the bottom of this bubble because the bottom of the bubble here is going to be the base of the base. We want to make sure that is the thickest point and the most stable point as well. Brandy is waxing a pair of tools that we call the jacks. These are the only tools that we add wax to. It is beeswax. And that wax allows us to glide over the glass easier and leave less tool marks in our glass. Just going to inflate that bubble here. You might be able to see some of those little raindrop bubbles trapped in there. If you hear any hammering or anything in the background, we do have other artists in the building. We're fortunate to be able to share this space with other creatives. It keeps our environment and atmosphere very lively every day. So Jeremy is really working to control this hot glass, putting a lot of muscle into it, keep it on that iron, nice and even. Pushing that into shape. Very nice. So Brandy is over here working the doors. We are fortunate to be able to have multiple sets of doors on our chambers, allowing us to contain the heat when needed or open the doors for a larger piece. And that glass is wanting to move. The hotter it is, the more it's moving. So wielding that glass like a pro. And she is going in with those jacks and working to pull a neckline out for our vase here. Brandy is shielding her from that residual heat. There's a delicate balance between being forceful enough with your jacks to push that glass where you want it to go, but also not too forceful that you manipulate the glass in a way you weren't expecting to. A rugged dance in the art, I like to say. Brandy is resetting this bench. Another wonderful part of having an assistant and teamwork in the glass studio. Jeremy is Working that glass, making sure it is under control. Very nice job. And they're going to work on that neckline a little bit more here. And then she is creating that severance point that I touched on for the pumpkin. That's going to allow us to later on detach this vase from our blowpipe. And now focusing on the bottom there. Again, ensuring we have a good thickness for stability. So our doors, as I said, allow us to focus heat in certain spots. So right now, Jeremy is spot heating, meaning she is focusing the heat only on the bottom portion of that vessel because that is what we are wanting to focus on next. So even though we are often trying to counteract gravity by always turning our iron, there are moments when it works to our advantage and we are able to use it to pull and lengthen pieces of glass. So that is what Jeremy just did by using that pendulum swing motion. She allowed gravity to pull that heated bottom of the vessel down and elongate that naturally. Working smarter, not harder. Working together again. Shaping up that bottom there. Giving a good thickness. Again, using paper and wood on hot molten glass, the two things you'd think would burn right up. And those are two of our most used tools here in our hot shop. Randy's going to prepare for the next step in our process. We're going to be adding a foot to our base. So as you can see on this one, it has a clear foot on the bottom. We call this a drop foot. Brandy is going to gather clear glass from the furnace, bringing that to our marver here to give it a shape. And she's gathered that on a blowpipe. So this is going to be a blown foot, as I said. So we need it to be hollow, and we need to be able to start a bubble in it. Right now. Swiftly burst of air. And she's going to start a new one. So there's a little bit of carbon in there. And sometimes carbon is either left on our blowpipes from residual heat or previous projects, things like that. And it can sometimes create unwanted air pockets in our glass, which is totally okay. We just work with it. I'm going to give you a quick close-up of what we have going here. So you can see those little air bubbles we have, and all that beautiful color is slowly starting to show itself a bit. Brandy's gonna pop another bubble here. And starting a bubble takes a good 2 to 3 years to become proficient in. Just like anything in the glass world, Practice, practice, practice. Always learning. Always keeping our minds and bodies sharp. We're going to watch that bubble grow just a little bit more here. And she is shaping that using the back of her jacks. A little bit of a chill. So when they are working in tandem this way, and they're going to be attaching two elements of glass, they really have to know the heat that they're working with, and they have to be committed to the process. So Jeremy is prepared to accept this blown foot from Brandy. It's going to be similar to our color drop. Just going to tack that on right on top there. Snip it off. And then send that right on into the chamber there. So while they are stabilizing that foot, I'm going to bring you over here and show you where that excess glass goes. So we have it in our kilns here. This is the fresh pipe Brandy just put in there. And every week we sort through that glass from colored to clear. We put it in storage, and then we are able to reuse that glass. So they have that blown foot attached. Jeremy is working to create a severance point because she wants to bonk that little bit off of the end there. Beautiful. So when we create those severance points and we are chilling that area, I like to describe it as an earthquake. So if you think of tectonic plates, when they move under the earth and they shift, they are sending vibrations up through the earth, and those vibrations are absorbed by the weakest point of our earth, which is the crust and what we stand on, which is why sometimes the ground cracks and severs apart. It is the same concept. We are creating the weakest point on our vessel so that when we tap or bonk the glass or the iron, sending a vibration down, it is absorbed by the weakest point and ideally severing where we have created our weak spot. So they are going to open up this blown foot swiftly using her jacks to open up that foot nice and wide. We got it about a bell shape right now. We're going to go back and do that move again. Jeremy has added her blow hose. Again, she is spot heating that blown foot. Brandy's on standby. Brandy, what are you holding? And a Sophietta. So Sophietta is a tool that allows us to puff air, and the wooden paddle is for shaping. They are Opening, flattening that foot. Beautiful. Nice and flat. Okay, so they are getting ready for the transfer process. We want to make sure we can open this vase up and put beautiful bouquets of flowers in it. So we have to switch the axis of that bubble. So we're going to be going through the transfer process. Brandy is preparing her part for this process. She's got a punty rod, so it is solid, it is not a hollow blowpipe. And she is going to be pulling out a small bit of glass called a punty. A punty is meant to be a tack attachment, not meant to be permanent. Just a temporary hold while we do the second portion of our glass blowing process. So she's looking for a specific shape on this punty. Just a small dome of glass off the end of the iron. She's going to bring that over to Jeremy, who will accept the punty bit and tack it on the bullseye of the bottom of the vase, right in the middle of that blown foot. And then, like I touched earlier, with the earthquake, we've added tension to our weak spot and send the vibration down. And we have now transferred that vase from one iron to the other. Beautiful job. So Brandy is ensuring that punty is secure. She is focusing the heat mainly on the neck of the vase, as well as taking small overall heats called flashes to ensure we don't have any unwanted stress and tension throughout this vessel. So our furnace right now, she's sitting at 2,139 degrees. Lava flows at 1,800. So we are wielding material hotter than flowing lava today. Okay. You can see the difference in heat. That neck is glowing orange while the body is relatively cooler colors. Jeremy is doing what we call a trim or a pull and trim. So she is cutting off a little bit of excess thickness and giving herself slightly thinner lip. All right. Again, Brandy is starting another bit of glass. We're going to be adding a wrap around the rim of this vase. We call it a lip wrap. Just gonna trim just a little bit more of that thickness away. So when you trim glass at that temperature, it sort of feels like cutting into an orange peel, if you can imagine that. But as you're cutting, you want to be swift because it is rapidly chilling. If you are too slow, you will not get all of that glass trimmed away in time. And then you'll be stuck with a conundrum. All right, so she has that desired thickness. She's going to be accepting a bit from Brandy, wrapping that around the perimeter, and then heading to the chamber. So Brandy, again, coming back to recycling our glass, she is pulling a string of excess color off the puntee here. And we'll be able to use that at a later time. Stretching nice and long, whole wingspan. Jeremy's carefully watching the heat that is being added to our piece here. And they are gonna work together using jacks and a wet wooden paddle to integrate our lip wrap evenly with our base to give a beautiful flow from one color to the next. Doing good so far. Oh yeah. Yeah. We never get attached to what we're making because sometimes glass has a mind of its own. No matter how many years you've been doing it, there is always an unpredictable element to glass blowing, and you have to be prepared for anything. So preheating our jacks, preparing to use those. And they're going to begin opening this vase. Jeremy has her jacks inserted all the way to the end of that neckline. She is ripping the neck of that vase open. Beautiful. So our jacks are spring-loaded, meaning that they have tension and resistance, and that allows us to slowly relax our hand and open the vessel without much force. All right, so one last opening. Gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful vase. With that drop foot, all those visual elements that we've added, the bubbles, using two different styles of colored glass, a lip wrap, and a whole lot of teamwork. Gorgeous. So some of those purples and greens are starting to show. Oftentimes our cooler colors will show somewhat true to themselves before they hit the kiln. However, warmer colors often stay a lot darker and more brown hued while we're working with them, and they don't show their true colors until we take them out of the kiln. Yeah, let's see it up against the black background of Rosie. Gorgeous. That's going to be so vibrant. Your big, beautiful, fresh bouquet of flowers in there. Maybe from your garden or from local florists. So Jeremy is letting that set up a little bit more, taking some overall flashes to settle all the molecules down, make sure they're not too stressed and there's no uneven heating throughout our piece. Brandy is suiting up to box the vase. Okay. We have Brandy with the face mask and her gloves. Jeremy adds a small drop of water to the punty, not the actual piece. And she is going to knock that off over by our kiln. A small tap. Beautiful. And that's going to go into our kiln for the next about 19 hours. Very nice job, ladies. Awesome, awesome. All right. We're going to let them catch their breath, take a quick drink of water. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching us share a little bit of our passion and our everyday with you guys. We love being able to explain more of the process and some of the details that go into each of our pieces. And I think we're going to go ahead and get it wrapped up here. And yeah, keep a creative path in your life and art in your life, because it is a great way to stay sharp and bring some joy to your everyday. All right. Thanks so much. And we'll see you later. Bye.
Here are your AARP top tips on how music can help keep your brain healthy. A new report from the Global Council on Brain Health shows that music isn't just fun, it can actually benefit your brain. Here are 4 ways to harness the power of music. Listen to new music. Exposing your brain to different instruments, styles, and rhythms is like exercise for your brain. New songs help strengthen your brain as it works to understand the unfamiliar melodies. Make music with others. It's never too late to start a band. Singing or playing an instrument is fun, engages multiple parts of your brain, and creates a connection with others. Forming new friendships is especially important for older adults, potentially lowering the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. Just be sure to follow current safety precautions related to COVID-19. Dance, sing, or do both. Cutting a rug is great for your cardiovascular health and can help fight off dementia. And belting out your favorite song not only feels good, studies show singing may also pack a punch against disease by increasing proteins in your blood that fight inflammation. Put on a happy tune to reduce depression and anxiety. Listening to a sunny song can trigger joy-inducing brain chemicals, which can also benefit your immune system. And when caring for loved ones with dementia, play their favorite music to create positive moments together or spark happy memories. For more tips to keep your brain healthy, go to aarp.org/brainhealth.